or countries of the world. But unfortunately, instead of us thinking inwardly at what we should do first, Nigeria would not agree with those who have called for a revival of our refineries before we talk about the regulation. I am totally in support of those who are calling that the Nigerian government should first wake up to its responsibilities. I don't know why it is difficult, but I know that it is something with sheer determination we can do. Let us revive our refineries and start refining our own crude to the capacity, to the extent to which the capacity of our refineries can carry. Let us start production, regulate those prices before we talk about the one that we cannot determine coming from outside the country.
All right, then we got your position on that. Precious UDK, let me get to Upaka Dokubo.
And you see, I was a bit excited about it because it was a subject I would discuss with a couple of friends in the office, colleagues in the office, and eventually it was a position that we came to. So how can federal government at this point, when we're on the ground, in the first place, it is the situation that has forced you to come to this level.
Yes.
And that is not the best time to take a decision. You are, at the moment, you are just constrained. You are forced into this situation. Fuel wouldn't have been selling at 125 if not for the situation that we have at hand. So now you are forced by a situation, and then you want to, in that moment, take a vital decision as this. But look at every other thing around it. First, as we speak today, it is the NNPC alone that is importing fuel.
True.
So if you're coming down to deregulation, it means you're opening the market for competition. So others can as well go and import. So if it is left to those market forces, then why would you stop anybody from getting into
it too? Yeah.
So if we get to that, everybody is back to square one. So there will be now this competition to import. And for me, the moment that happens, forget it. Our refineries will never be functional again, because these people will ensure that you don't.
It's their market. It's the same thing we're dealing with. Is that not what we hint at when we talk about generators and power supply?
Exactly. So you will have that situation. But come to think of it, look at it. Let me just take this elementary analogy. I am a farmer. I plant yam. I harvest yam in good quantity. Then I come to the house. Instead of cooking my yam and pounding and eating pounded yam, I now go and sell this yam to somebody, only to go and buy pounded yam from him at a very cost. When simply getting a mortar and pestle in the house would help me pound this yam, and I'll eat, and then sell the other one, and let others also, and then get whatever monies I have there. I've been able to feed myself. Now every other money I get is for something else. So it just doesn't make sense that at this point we are not thinking of at least satisfying local demand. This is a resource that God has given to us. Why are we not able to maximize? Why should we go and leave the...
Mele Carey said it. He said the problem with the refineries is that they didn't know what the problem of the refineries It's very simple. They didn't know what the problem is. The problem they've always had is that they did not know what the problem was. So there you are.
So he has just all of a sudden, Eureka.
We didn't know what the problem was all along. That's the problem.
Yeah, Eureka. He's got it now. So you find that, I don't know why as Nigerians, God give you these resources for free of charge, and then instead of getting the full benefit of it, you now take it outside and go and peg the price at international market. Let the international market forces now determine how you enjoy what God has given to you for free? This is crass. I don't understand it. And successive governments have not been able to come to terms with this fact that, see, we just need to do this. Now, Kerry has, told us before now that these refineries won't work before 2023. So for me, every other, whether it's removal of subsidy or the regulation, whatever, must wait till 2023 when these refineries come full stream and we're able to refine products so that there's a local pricing for it, and then international price can take care of their international listing. But for the products that we need, even if we're able to get, I hear there are so many things you can get from the same simple crude.
Yes.
At least for Nigeria, the ones that were very, very
AGO,
PMS,
kerosene,
fuel, and diesel. These are the things that we probably need. Our refiners should be able to take care of all of this, and then let the international people take care of the international issues. We have said that, okay, what's it called? Dangote refinery is coming. Only God knows how long that one is. It's almost taking forever to come. By now, I expect it should be on full stream. Let that one come. Instead of, at the moment, let them be thinking of some others. I expect state governments. We have this situation, and even within the South states, what are these states doing? If an individual state cannot do it, what about the entire Niger Delta states coming together and then floating refineries? Why not
condensate refineries, at least.
Whatever it is. Instead of thinking along this line, because the demand is always there, we are not able to meet our local
production.
We are not.
I was just
so
reading.
You see such an opportunity there, and then states instead are waiting for government to every month give them money to come and share, go and share money at the top, and then the oil is there in your soil. So I don't understand it. I think we need to really think properly through this. But for this man to say that the regulation has come, it won't come. See, today it is 125. And it appears like,
they said they should go to 123. 123 naira 50 kobo.
And that's the one they have said.
Yes.
As I know, NMPC station here still says
that's what I'm saying. At the point they said they weren't going to go down to 123, that they must sell their old stock.
Of course.
And we know that old stock can last
for the next year.
It will always be old stock.
So now that it's because of the effect, the oil price at 30 or 20. Tomorrow, when the oil price climbs to $60, $70, what happens? You will now push up
the price will go to 400 naira.
To 200, 400 naira.
Mm-hmm.
And you think Nigerians will sit quiet?
That won't happen, we'll stay quiet.
It won't happen.
All right, then. Well.
So you can't be undulating like that. Today is this, tomorrow is that.
Quickly read something. Impact of deregulation of the downstream oil sector on economic growth in Nigeria. This was written by Annie Maduka, Department of Economics, Anambra State University, Bariam Campus. Helen Ihonre, Team Lead KDF, Wholesale Banking Products, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, and Lasbury Ano Chiwa, Department of Economics and Development Studies, Federal University, Ndufu Ali K in Ebonyi State. And very quickly, because this was what also helped me understand rudimentarily what was going on, because sometimes some of this can be, above our head. So they said with the introduction, oil exploration began in Nigeria in 1908. German company Nigerian Bitumen Corporation was granted license. We went all through that. Then it's moved on to the onset of the Second World War, which interfered with activities. But in 1947, serious prospecting began, which led to the first commercial discovery of Oloibiri in Niger Delta. Nigeria became a member of OPEC. We moved on. Nigeria's upstream sector comprises exploration and production, with oil production capacity of about 3 million barrels per day, and as at 2011 produced 2.53 million barrels per day. The downstream sector is responsible for the refining, storage, marketing, sales, and distribution of gasoline, kerosene, asphalt, lubricant oils, and petrochemicals. and has 4 refineries with a total refining capacity of 445,000 barrels of oil per day, which is supposed to meet local demand that was pegged at that time at 300,000 barrels per day. The downstream sector is controlled by government through the NNPC, who also regulates prices of refined petroleum products and coordinate distribution through pipelines to end users. However, due to inadequate turnaround maintenance, technical inefficiency, and corruption, the refineries are seriously operating below capacity. While Nigeria relies on importation of oil for local consumption, making its domestic prices vulnerable to changes in international oil prices and exchange rates. Oil is still very important to the existence of many economies of the world today, and its price is a major component of economic forecasts and performances. As a result, any import-dependent nation like Nigeria will have its domestic products seriously influenced by international prices, which necessitates the government to provide subsidy to cushion the effect of high domestic prices caused by external shocks in the market. Crude oil constitutes over 90% of the total export in Nigeria and is a major driver of economic growth. Petroleum industry contributes to economic growth and development in Nigeria through the impact it has on economic variables that are responsible for growth, such as foreign exchange reserves and government revenue. Oil is a key revenue earner for Nigeria, and according to the Central Bank of Nigeria reports, the ratio of oil revenue in total to government's revenue as of 1990 was 73%. It grew to 84% in 1993, decreased to 70% in 1998, and grew significantly to 89% in 2006. And I can believe that has steadily continued to rise from there. It can be observed that it is therefore expected that the huge oil revenue should be employed in diversification of the economy through provision of resources and enabling environment that will generate economic activities to support growth. But while revenue from oil is growing tremendously due to increasing international demand for oil resources, Nigeria is plunging more into underdevelopment due to corrupt practices. It is pertinent to note that this source of immense wealth to many nations of the world has become the main source of Nigeria's misfortune. It is difficult for an average Nigerian to understand why the government should be proposing which may lead to increased prices in the midst of such enormous natural resource endowment. However, the origin of deregulation in Nigeria is embedded in the unending inadequate supply of petroleum products and domestic imbalances in the early 1980s, which led to economic distortions and slowed growth. In a bid to address this, the government also introduced SAP, that's a structural adjustment program. All right, so at least this just gives you a clear understanding of how subsidy even entered the picture in the first place. When we had the refineries working functionally, we were getting our supplies for PMS here, there was no need, we were not importing. But because international figures fluctuate and your currency too is affected because of what you're exporting and what you're importing, there is always that difference between the price of petrol. And when you bring it in, of course, you want to sell it to make a profit. So government says, okay, we'll be a stopgap. We'll make sure that no matter what you do, we're taking this chunk of the bulk, we'll pay you this, and then you can go ahead and sell at this price regularly. We will give you this so that you're not importing this at a loss. They continually did that for a while. I think it was of recent before they said, look, we're not even buying from anybody else. This is just going to be NNPC's, will be the sole importer. So
last year.
Last year. So because for a long period, that was a source of corruption for so many people. I mean, we kept talking about who are the people importing, how much was the landing cost, what was the subsidy being paid to them. Those were the conversations we were having for a long period. It continued. And, a lot of people would tell you the government at the different times that they were on and we had this subsidy going on, they were doing that because they were looting the treasury. They were just enriching themselves with their colleagues or with their cohorts or whoever else they had on the other hand who will come in and bring in papers and say, well, this is what our landing costs are. This is how much 1,000 tons we brought in. And then they sign the paper and then they go home with billions, which they share with the people in government. So for them, it was just a way that they could keep greasing their pockets. And that's why they were not interested in fixing the refineries and then making local production. And that means this gateway where they're making money shuts down. NNPC now said this is what we're doing. A lot of people complain on why NNPC alone is the one bringing it in, and then if NNPC is the one bringing in the subsidy, who gets the subsidy? Does NNPC pay herself the subsidy, or was the federal government bringing in oil at a loss? Because if what they brought was higher, and they had to peg it at still 145 at that period. Does that mean that the excesses that was on top was something the government was just throwing away? Nobody really understood what was going on at that time. Now you have market forces that has cost you to drop down to 125, and you're saying, you know what, subsidy is over. And the question is, so the meetings that were supposed to, I know that you have Nupeng, you have Pengasin, and there are other oil layers, of course, the other layers of that. And what about the National Assembly? So at what point did Melakari get to that decision that, look, subsidy is no more in place, and then moving forward, it won't come back? You'll have expected that there were a series of meetings. There's an understanding within each sector that is involved as to why we're taking this step and then moving on. Because I don't think that if they had done that clearly, Nupeng and Pengasin will be coming on and say, but we don't understand how you can take away subsidy when the refineries have not been fixed. The refineries can't produce the local demands that we need. So we're still going to import this. If you're removing your hand from that, then that means anybody can import and anybody can peg that price. And like we mentioned, we might see this rise to 300, 400,000. At what point then would you break the back of Nigerians? Precious UDK, you said you don't think Nigerians will do anything even if it gets to that point. Opaka says we will revolt. But you know what? I think that, like this government, what they did was rather smart, unlike what the past government did, where at one point they were going to, take off subsidy. And then it was like, oh, as from tomorrow, we're going to take, and then people poured out on the streets and were saying no and all of that. These guys did it systematically. Somehow before we knew it, they're saying through an interview somewhere else, and then mentioned the fact that subsidy is over. We didn't have that kind of reaction that we had in the last administration when they said they wanted to take that. So I thought for me, it was a very subtle way to slide that in and then just move on with life. And I think that might be what we'll see when the figures begin to rise if they do this, because at one point we'll see at 200 we'll grumble like we're doing now, and then to move on to 250, and then we'll complain and then before we know it, it's 300 naira per liter. I don't know. This is how I see it. I think that if we continue to see a steady rise in that, and we say, oh, it's market forces, I think we won't. I don't know. I don't see Nigerians doing anything. I don't see them doing it. I think they'll just continue to accept and bicker and complain, and that's it. So it's a good thing that Pengasin and Nupeng is making this stand now. But I don't know if that's even going to change anything. If already Melakari says, look, there's zero subsidy now, and going forward there'll be none. Hasn't that already put us in that situation? Can Nupeng say you can't deregulate? Can Pengasin say you can't deregulate without putting the refineries into motion?
And you see, I think the implications are very there. At the moment, we're still bothered. This is a government that has told us you're going to take 100 million people out of poverty. Mm-hmm. And then you and I know as we speak today, whatever happens in that petroleum sector, whatever happens to prices of this particular product, mm-hmm. goes down everything else. Yeah. Is that how we are going to operate? Today, it is one. Nigerians are just happy. Oh, this thing is at least they have something to cushion the effect COVID-19 is doing to them as it were, even if it is just 20 naira. But by the time you buy 1,000 naira fuel, you have 1 liter. You have 1 liter added to it. That is every other thing they think should be given some kind of palliatives. But beyond this point, when every other thing is constant, because every other thing as in the infrastructure, mm-hmm. there is still, the light situation is still the way it is, even whether it's going to be worse, we do not know, but there's nothing in the future that tells you that things are going to improve. Now, every other thing is going to remain constant, and then fuel price goes up steadily, and it's going up. It means more and more poverty, more and more hardship on the people. You don't push a people to that level. No, I don't believe that.
I agree with you. I agree with you that if nothing is done, especially as concerns the refineries, and that we're able to support local consumption, where the market then will not be affected by what global prices and fluctuations mean or go by. I agree with you that unless that is done, we will see prices rise astronomically. But I also believe that with what I have seen from Nigerians so far, that if the figures are rising, we'll just keep adjusting. That's how I see it. I think we just keep it. I mean, there have been cases where you expect that Nigerians will actually come out and say, like here, when you on a TV interview, you say there's no subsidy. Subsidy has been removed. What does that mean? Well, Nigerians just went ahead and
a lot of Nigerians it has not even hit the common man.
That is how the
because
figures,
he's buying fuel now
that's how the figures will hit them small.
Because he's buying fuel at a lower cost. Then I say, okay, if this is what the regulation means, if this is what removal of subsidy means, a lower price, then okay. But he would only wake up in the morning another day to find that this means higher cost of every other thing.
Yes, because eventually when the prices rise to perhaps $50 per barrel.
Yes.
What happens?
Things will begin to change.
We'll still go back to the subsidy. You see this?
So it will.
We'll still go back to
I'm
subsidy.
telling you, you will.
Go back to it. We'll definitely go. This isn't the first time they're saying no subsidy now.
No, for subsidy, there's no way to be removed forever. As it said.
But Mele Kyari said it's gone forever.
No, that's what he said.
And ever.
Who is
No,
Mele
you see,
Kyari said?
when you have Pengasen and Nupeng saying that refinery has to be fixed before withdrawal or removal of subsidy. Yes.
Deregulation.
Yes. Mele Kyari is not alone in the oil sector.
Sure.
Once these people pull the pressure, you know, the next thing you will see him on television that say government has decided.
It was a personal statement.
I'm
That's what
telling
I'm telling
you. If not, ordinarily, these people are not even supposed to come and say they should have had them into confidence that this is going to happen and if it were not going to be possible, they would have trashed it there. But himself, like I said, it is the GMD of NNPC that is new, telling people and say, I am in charge now, so look at what I'm proposing. That is it. It won't work.
It would actually have been very beautiful if market forces had been deciding oil pricing in Nigeria. But that is only if, because it will cushion the effect if we have our refineries here working. And then there is no how we can be buying at a very exorbitant price. If we are refining those crude and oil here in Nigeria, we can be buying at exorbitant price, at least for local consumption. Maybe when we want to export, we can fix any price. We can allow you go with in tandem with international oil pricing. But for local consumption, it should be cushioned. So whether we like it or not, the truth is, when the oil pricing skyrocket after this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, and then we have to buy a liter of fear here for 200 naira, for 300 naira, government will still step in. And that is why you see that most of the decisions they take is not sustainable. It is not sustainable because they don't look at forces that are not immediate when these decisions are taken. We don't look at the future. If we look at the future, we should actually know that Nigeria and Nigerians are not prepared to pay, or would not be prepared to pay 300 naira per liter of air. I know that, like I said earlier, nothing will happen. No. Even though today that they say Nigerians should buy fear for 400 naira per liter. We will just murmur in our various homes, go to social media to type whatever we want to type.
I would rather we don't push our luck that far.
You are being reasonable in what you are saying, but
let's not push our luck too far.
Events have shown Nigerians to be extremely elastic and docile. Absolutely, I don't know. You know, what I see in Nigerian is this is the war. You've reached there. Like they say, ordinarily you are supposed to spring back. The man will just push and heave, and then the war will open the path. I'm telling you, because nobody see. Politicians have so squeezed Nigerians into their mold that you don't have anything. Almost everything you are looking after them to provide that. And so once anything happens, they pick you. You are seeing others. You leave your family. That means, oh, okay, if I were in the shoes, that's what I'll be suffering. And my family, nobody will care for them. Let them
nothing
do what
happen. The resultant effect will just be that you see the commercial drivers will skyrocket their own pricing. You see foodstuffs and all that.
You don't. You're coming to
skyrocket. No, exactly.
That's it.
But what? No, but that's what tell me that Nigerians will rise up as it happened in 2012. You see, those who orchestrated the 2012 own are in power today, and
don't worry. They don't have a monopoly of whatever they did. But
yes,
see,
so they don't.
I still agree with. I mean, I am still thinking that Mele Kyari has spoken for himself. You know,
As an Indian.
during Babangida's era, Babangida perfected that strategy. No, the strategy. Okay. Government is going to probably make a policy decision or statement, and you'll find him allowing a junior officer or somebody else fly the kite. And when he sees the reaction of Nigerians, eventually comes out to tell you either yes or no. Take the shine. Incidentally, that's what I see here, but this is actually not a policy, a strategy
Statement?
of the government in power. Buhari actually does not know. He's not even aware of what.
Why? Is he not
happening.
the Minister of Petroleum?
Is he?
He is. He's the Minister of Petroleum. I don't know.
Is
Did
he-
that change?
He's
No,
not.
it doesn't. Not to
Because
my
I have
knowledge.
not-
They can't speak the official position of the government.
I don't think so.
If Kerry says as of now there is no subsidy, if anybody who should know about whether subsidy is in place or not, it's Kerry.
I should agree with you anyway.
Because
at
NNPC
the
is
moment-
solely in charge of the importation of PMS. So if they say now, as he's speaking, there is no subsidy.
Exactly. That I can't take away from him. But whether there will be no subsidy in the future is what is debatable here.
I think it's arguable, yes. Nobody knows what the future is like. So, but their plan is that they will sustain this move. Their plan is that even after COVID-19 or even after the oil price wars between Russia and Saudi Arabia, even if there's certain stabilization that has been gotten in the system, that they remain where they do not offer subsidy anymore. That's what Kerry is trying to say.
But
I
they're
think
deporting.
Kerry cannot also take away or cannot see or foresee the future and reactions of Nigerians perhaps to that, and Nigerian groups like Pengathin and Nupeng, when they get to
And
realize
civil
that
society
this
situation.
and civil society, yeah, if there's those people are still
So
strong.
let's
They are around. What do you mean?
No, it's all right.
We're on ground.
It's all right.
Is that not what they like to say? We're on ground.
let Kerry say what he says, and he has said it. But we will move forward, and we will see in this country, fuel subsidy will return in full swing
No, it will. But
until these refineries are working, and we are able to at least meet 70-80% of local demand. We are able to refine internally. Then you can begin to talk about
Kerry,
whether you move
Kerry in the hold on, just a minute, I'll get to you. Kerry in the other paper we read was talking about the condensate refineries that he
Yes.
says in the next 2 years we might have condensate refineries who will be able to produce 200,000 barrels per day. And he says that will complement that of Dangote, who is pegged at 650 barrels per day. Now that's projecting 2 years from now. So between 2 years and now, what happens? All right, joining us is Dr. Oweni Williams Arugu. He's from the Department of Business Law, River State. Good to have you. Good morning.
Thank you, Annie.
All right, so you want to air your thoughts on this? You've been following us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But sometimes I just want to ask, who actually is the subsidy benefiting? Is it benefiting the common Nigerians, or is it benefiting?
I think so. That's what we're buying that
It's,
cheap price.
yeah, or benefiting the class.
well,
Because to me, I don't.
both ways.
Beautiful.
Both
Because
ways,
if
I
you
must
look
say.
at it, how is this subsidy? Look at the millions of naira, billions of naira that is claimed to be used to subsidize this product. The question you now ask yourself, who is it benefiting? If you take this money to projects that will better the lot of Nigerians, is it not better off? See, listen to me. If we allow the forces of demand and supply, I did privatization of government-based companies, state-owned companies, and I've come to tell you that in Nigeria, I'm just coming from UPTH now, almost everything that is owned by government does not work. Why? Because it belongs to nobody.
Yes.
But look at how the private hospitals are working. A consultant who would not want to touch a patient in UPTH, if he goes, he will not be ready to cite a line in UPTH. If you go to his clinic, he's the one that will cite a line. Consultant who is paid as a consultant in UPTH and he cannot work for 3 hours in a week, can work for 30 hours in a week in his private clinic. Look at NNPC. Of all the all the state-owned oil companies in the world, it is only NNPC that's not working. Why? Why? Anything that is owned by government in Nigeria cannot work. Look at the private universities that are coming out of Nigeria. They're almost doing better than the state-owned universities or the federal government-owned universities. Let us begin to do away with this subsidy. But the question is again, I cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. But the question is, even if we do away with the subsidy and these monies accrue to the other end of government, are they going to utilize these funds appropriately to the benefit of what? The common man. That's another worry. But that to hope that there is an NNPC one day that would make a refinery so is a wild goat chase. There can never be a time. Buhari promised that the moment he comes to power that the refineries will work. Are they working? They are not. It's not a Buhari thing. It's a Nigerian thing. Anything that is owned by government cannot work. And to me, so people are saying that they're going to take 200 billion to pump into NTA. What is the usefulness of NTA in Nigeria? I have cable in my house. I've never watched NTA. If I need information, I know where to go to. It's not NTA. So why are you going to take a loan of 200 billion to pump it into NTA? What is the relevance of NTA to the average Nigerian?
Yes,
so that it can be relevant to you, so that you can tune into it.
No. You see, sir,
you are not tuning into it now because of whatever, and probably
do
that
you know
money
how
will
much?
make it.
I am not sure that the owner of channels has spent half of what has been spent in NTA. Look at what channels is doing. I'm not holding brief for channels, but I'm telling you that there's no way you can keep the image from channels and image from NTA, and you want me to look at image from NTA. Or there's no way you can keep the people that channels will invite to channels television, and you want me to listen to the people NTA will invite.
Censored.
But let's see, Arogo, let me find out one thing. You said that government, maybe things or establishments don't work.
They cannot work.
Cannot work. Good.
That they can't even work.
But we remember that these refineries that are lying on the ground now belong to government. They were built by government of Nigeria, they operated, and we were having everything done as much as possible in this country.
Yeah.
So I think what we should be talking about is, when did it start? What happened that these things can no longer
leadership
work?
failure.
Thank you.
Look at NAFCON.
So that
NAFCON was sold to the Indians as a wreck.
No, let's finish with this refinery.
The Indians have taken over.
No.
No. We are talking about privatization of government-owned companies.
No, there
is no basis
to say, because see, that means you have hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
That is leadership failure, and I
It's
agree
leadership
with you.
failure.
Good. Sometime in this country also, there may be also leadership success. That one is still we are projecting that, because I don't believe my pessimism does not reach this level, that there is no time somebody, if Nigeria will eventually continue to be one, I think one day there must be somebody who will say, no, we've derailed in all facets, and so we want to come back on track. And when it happens, you will see all this refinery, every other thing that has failed in this country working.
Today,
but if you say government establishments cannot work
in Nigeria, they cannot work. They cannot work, and it's also a sense of responsibility.
You see, this country,
they cannot work.
No, I understand your position when you sound that way.
Look at Nigerian Tide.
Maybe it's out of frustration.
Look at Nigerian Tide. Look at Radio Rivers. Do you hear of Radio Rivers today?
No,
look at how much is pumped into these institutions. But gentlemen, what are we having in return? Next to nothing. You have Radio Wazobia, you have this in Port Harcourt and all of that. These are private enterprises. But the question you ask yourself, how well is government doing? This morning I was listening to channels and the minister in charge of the humanitarian program of government said 7 months after she's still understudying what is in her ministry. You don't have any business in government. You don't. How can you tell us what is the basis? They're asking you a simple question. What is the basis for what you have spent? What is the data you use? Where did you get the data? And you're telling us we should keep it secret. How? These monies are appropriated, and the people who gave you the power to spend the money, they have oversight, right, function to look at how these monies are spent.
Well,
See,
for
you
me,
see,